Excellencies, dear colleagues, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you to a discussion based on the fresh report titled The Human Rights Council at 10, Improving Relevance, Strengthening Impact. This room makes me feel like I'm a stewardess on an airline, and we have business class in front here, but I hope that we will be able to have a good discussion anyway. My name is Harriet Berg, and I'm representing the Norwegian mission at this panel. We are today witnessing unprecedented challenges to human rights, peace, and development. We are witnessing some of the most brutal and horrible violations and abuses of human rights. Human rights are coming under increasing pressure in many countries. In others, capacity constraints prevent the human rights component to be a part of the sustainable development in these countries. In spite of positive developments in the international human rights system, we face an unacceptable implementation gap between the norms and the realities on the ground. Human rights violations are essential parts of a complex set of challenges we are facing. Protection and promotion of human rights is also an essential part of the solution to these problems. This creates great leadership challenges for all states, both at home and internationally. We need a relevant and effective Human Rights Council and a strong United Nations as partners for states in these challenging times. The aim of the Glion Human Rights Dialogue was to provide an informal space to discuss how to sharpen our human rights tools at our disposals, to make them strong, relevant as we need them, and to ensure better implementation on the ground, in line with the mandate of the Council. Within the time and capacity constraints that we all face, Norway and Switzerland, supported by the URG, attempted to be as inclusive as possible, and at the same time making sure that we had an informal dialogue. But we wanted to hear as many views from so many places as possible. This is one of the reasons why URG this year, in cooperation with the permanent missions of Morocco, Thailand, and Mexico, organized 3 informal policy dialogues. We estimate that around 80 states, as well as a wide array of NGOs and OHCHR staff, participated in these dialogues. I would like to take this opportunity again to thank our counterparts from Mexico, Thailand, and Morocco for their support in this exercise. The document that you have now received, and it's on the outside, contains a non-exhaustive and non-attributable summary of some of the key ideas and thoughts generated during the retreat in Glion in the beginning of May. We hope that the report will contribute to a genuine and result-oriented dialogue and cooperation in the Council through increased transparency, fair and impartial working methods. We hope to contribute to strengthen implementation and impact of the Council decisions on the ground, in both situations of national capacity constraints and when there seems to be a lack of political will to follow up. We also believe the report includes some good proposals on how to bridge the mandate resource gap and the, simply put, New York-Geneva gap that we're also experiencing. I need to underline that the document does not necessarily represent the views and positions of Norway and Switzerland, although I would like to underline that Norway fully supports the main analysis and most of the proposals. I'm with this very pleased to give the floor to Dr. Shahid, Chair of the Board of Trustees, Universal Rights Group.
Thank you, Harry. Good morning, Excellencies, colleagues, and friends. I'm very happy to be here this morning. I'm grateful that you are here to join us for this event. As Harriet said, one of the aims of today's gathering is to continue the discussions that were held at Glion, the exchange of views we were able to go through over 2 days with a wide range of stakeholders, including states, NGOs, the UN Secretariat, and identifying how we can all work together to make the Council more relevant, more effective, and deliver better to its constituency of states and people. with an eye on its 10th anniversary next year. We are fortunate today to have printed food for thought, if I may say so, available today, which I think you have all picked up on the way in to this room. Hot off the press, you have this, as Harriet said, summarizes in a non-attributable manner what was discussed at Glion. We worked on the Chatham House rules, therefore we have to make sure that we protected the identity of people who express their views in a very candid manner. Also, as Harriet observed, we were well served by 3 policy dialogues that were hosted by the ministers of Mexico, Thailand, and Morocco preceding the event at Glion. We have put together in that document a summary of what was said by everybody without trying to identify whether it is spoken by an NGO, UNNT government, or any of the other experts who were present at the retreat. I shall not speak long today because an occasion for the panelists to speak further and for you to exchange views on this. But the report, as you can see, has 4 parts. The first part deals with the big picture questions about the performance and the future of the Council, a very appropriate, I think, topic coming into the 10th anniversary of the Council. The second looks at the operation of the Council. And the third looking at implementation and on-the-ground impact of human rights of the Council and in the Council. And finally, the question of how the Council relates with other parts of the UN, including the GA and its 3rd committee. So the 4 main elements in the report. I shall, at this point, end my remarks. And again, thank you all for being here. And thank our collaborators, the governments of Norway and Switzerland, for working with us on this important aspect of the Human Rights Council. And with that, I turn over to Harriet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shahid. Just to conclude from our side, we hope that this collection of ideas and today's discussion will contribute to wider consideration of these ideas. We do not own these ideas, and we believe that we already have been able to use this discussion for something very real in the Human Rights Council. And with this, I'm pleased to pass the floor on to the chair of this morning's panel discussion, His Excellency Mr. Alexander Fasel, the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Switzerland.
Merci Harriet, Excellences, chers collègues, bonjour et bienvenue à cette réunion. Je me réjouis de vous voir si nombreux. Merci de votre intérêt et de votre participation. Je suis aussi heureux que nous pouvons compter aujourd'hui sur un service d'interprétation simultané français-anglais et je remercie chaleureusement la délégation permanente de l'Organisation internationale de la francophonie de sa participation financière à cela. Ça me permet de parler dans la langue de Voltaire et de Didier Bourcalter. Comme vous le savez, nous considérons les réunions du dialogue des droits de l'homme, dit le processus de Glion, comme une partie intégrante de notre travail, de nos échanges soutenus dans le domaine des droits de l'homme ici à Genève. Et vous connaissez mon mantra. Il est important qu'à côté de notre travail de substance dans les enceintes onusiennes et notamment le Conseil des droits de l'homme, nous prenions le temps de prendre du recul, d'observer de ce que nous faisons, d'avoir une sorte de méta-discussion sur la qualité et l'orientation de notre travail. Je pense que c'est un processus qui doit accompagner notre travail de substance et qui rendra notre travail de substance encore meilleur. Et donc, cette année, le processus de Glion, comme nous l'avons entendu, s'est concentré sur le Conseil des droits de l'homme à l'aube de ses 10 ans pour voir sa façon de fonctionner, son impact sur le terrain, les processus qui pourraient conduire à une amélioration encore de notre Conseil des droits de l'homme. Et les discussions qui ont eu lieu en amont du séminaire de Glion, dans une série de policy dialogues, de discussions politiques dans les missions de Thaïlande, de Mexique et du Maroc, ensuite le séminaire de Glion, ont conduit à une série de propositions que nous pouvons présenter et discuter maintenant, que vous trouvez donc dans ce rapport. Je pense que ce rapport, d'une certaine façon, est un bon document de référence qui rend bien l'état de la discussion et de la réflexion qui n'engage personne, mais qui vient stimuler notre réflexion collective sur la question, qui peut aussi servir comme référence, document de référence aux nouveaux délégués, aux nouveaux collègues qui débarquent à Genève et qui, par la lecture de ce document-là, peuvent gagner un accès immédiat à l'état de la discussion au sein du Conseil des droits de l'homme. Alors bien sûr, aucune solution n'est simple, il y a beaucoup de propositions, mais je pense que nous devons continuer cette discussion et affiner notre réflexion. Vu le programme ambitieux de ce matin, nous allons immédiatement entrer dans le vif du sujet. Nous aurons 3 présentations qui rendront les 3 thèmes principaux de la discussion de Glion. Puis nous aurons les considérations du président du Conseil des droits de l'homme qui, de par sa position privilégiée, peut apporter une appréciation toute particulière et pertinente à cette discussion. Donc, si vous le voulez bien, j'ouvre ce panel et je donne immédiatement la parole à l'ambassadeur, le représentant permanent du Pakistan, l'ambassadeur Zamir Akram, qui va nous parler du fonctionnement du Conseil, donc la question de savoir comment le Conseil peut-il encore mieux remplir son mandat. Ambassadeur, s'il vous plaît.
Good morning, colleagues and friends. And let me begin by thanking the organizers for the honor that they have bestowed upon me by inviting me to speak here this morning. And in this context, I would especially welcome the report of the URG that is here before us. However, before I go into the substance, I would like to make a very important point which is relevant to the subject about the relevance of the Human Rights Council. And that is that we have a grave humanitarian and human rights tragedy unfolding right in front of us as we speak. And I speak about thousands and millions of people who are seeking to migrate to Europe from their countries that are beset by conflict. And the United Nations as a whole and the Human Rights Council as an organ of the UN has so far been quite inactive in dealing or even addressing this issue. So that, in a sense, for me, underlines the very issue of how relevant we are. But coming to the subject at hand, I think that the issues that we need to be dealing with in order to increase the relevance of the Council is obviously, and most importantly, to ensure that we are engaged in a process that is inclusive and broad-based. We have before us the framework within which this dialogue should take place, and that is the IB package and the review of the Council, which provide clear guidelines and the roadmap to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the Council. But nothing will work unless there is genuine political will by member states to engage in a dialogue that is productive and effective. This dialogue would also need to be based on the cardinal principles that guide us, and those are the principles of universality, objectivity, impartiality, non-selectivity, and constructive cooperation. These are in the framework of our work and the organization. But I think we should also add to this, at least I would add to this, an effort to avoid confrontation and to avoid double standards. So, given that, what are the challenges? I think the Council has become over-politicized. There is a trust deficit, we have double standards, and we have discrimination. There is also the challenge of budgetary allocations. 3% of the budget of the UN allocated to the Human Rights Council is a joke, quite frankly. And therefore, there is reliance on extra budgetary resources, which are mostly earmarked contributions. This undermines the credibility of the Council, in my view. There is also a selective approach in implementing the IB package, as well as Council resolutions. There is, at least from the perspective of developing countries such as mine, a lack of balance between civil and political rights on the one hand, and economic, social, and cultural rights, including the right to development, on the other. As a result, the Council has failed to ensure equal distribution of resources. An added burden on the resource gap is the increased proliferation of special procedures and mandate holders. It's ironical that it is easy to find PBIs for some of those special rapporteurs and special procedures, while difficult to find money for other activities in the realm of economic, social, and cultural rights. We also have the challenge that is posed by country-specific resolutions. We believe strongly that the way to achieve results on the ground and to ensure effectiveness is rarely through country-specific resolutions which are guided by the aim of naming and shaming. Now, these are not totally, country-specific resolutions are something that cannot totally be ignored and that cannot totally be not pursued. We have to pursue some in some cases. But as far as possible, I think what we need to do is to have an increased reliance on a thematic approach to bring countries on board. There needs to be a closer engagement, I think, between the OHCHR as well and the member states. So, to conclude, how do I see, or what would I propose as the way forward to ensure improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the Council? When we met in Berlin as guests of our President, I put forward three fundamental ideas or three fundamental requirements, and these are: whatever we do in terms of improving efficiency and effectiveness, number one, they need to be voluntary. Number two, they need to be balanced. And number three, they need to be impartial. On those three principles, I would suggest the following steps. Number one, reliance on a regular budget for all mandated activities. Number two, fair distribution of resources for all human rights issues without any selectivity. Three, voluntary consideration of biannualization or triannualization of Council resolutions and decisions. Number four, need to utilize the UPR mechanism's potential as a platform for constructive engagement, because that's the only platform that is non-selective and balanced and impartial. Five, greater reliance on technical assistance and cooperation and consultation with the concerned state. That speaks to what I mentioned about thematic resolutions and non-country specific. Even if we have to have country-specific resolutions, it would be far better and more effective if these resolutions are engaged with the concerned country and offer technical assistance and cooperation rather than simply naming and shaming them. Next, we should have sunset clauses. We cannot have an unending mandate for special procedures and an unending schedule of resolutions that keep going on endlessly. Then we should have greater synergy between the work of the Council and the Third Committee. And I'm very glad to welcome here my friend from the days that I have been here in the 80s and again in this term, our President of the Third Committee, with us this morning, and welcome again, Umar. It's good to see you here. And finally, I think we need to have greater degree of consultations of the OHCHR with member states to enhance membership, to enhance ownership of the activities of the OHCHR. Often we see activities being conducted or by the OHCHR which come as a surprise and which do not necessarily enjoy the support of some member states. So with these ideas, I thank you for giving me this opportunity. Back to you, Fazl.
Merci, Excellence. Je passe maintenant la parole à Madame Shahzad Takbak, qui est donc la chef de la division de l'examen périodique universel à l'Office du Haut-Commissariat et aux droits de l'homme. S'il vous plaît.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Excellency, and thank you to everyone for including me for this discussion, which I find extremely important. I wanted to maybe just start by very sincerely congratulating all who've been involved in the deliberations that led to this report, because I sincerely believe that the report is an excellent one. And I think that it actually outlines very well some of our dilemmas that we're facing and proposes some good possibilities or pointers of how we can go about to address some of these dilemmas. So I've been asked to speak about ways in which one could strengthen implementation and impact on the ground and working with the Council in that regard. And so I thought I could maybe start by just restating what arguably really goes to the core of our work and I think at our discussion, which is how can we basically shift our emphasis from the deliberations in the room 20 to implementation and impact on the ground. Are there steps that can be taken to provide greater support and guidance to states in this regard, in particular where there's a political will to implement? And I think we've already heard this element about the need for political will, but there might be potentially a lack of capacity. And then can it, and this I really pose very sincerely and honestly for an open discussion, can it really be as simple as, quote unquote, providing technical capacity or technical cooperation without any kind of strategy or potential substantive guidance, including and especially from the Human Rights Council, on exactly what type of assistance to states might enable greater sustainability and actually greater impact of the work that's going to be carried out on the ground? Can the Council give some guidance in this regard, drawing from the state's own experiences? And here I really stress drawing from the state's own experience of what they have assessed to be the best approach in engaging on follow-up in a way that is sustainable and can have potentially the greatest impact on the ground. And again, here I stress guidance because I don't want us to lose sight of the spirit in which I think we're working and in the context of the UPR spirit in particularly. So I pose these questions because we hear increasingly that there's a need for technical cooperation in order for there to be follow-up. There's no doubt, I think there are serious capacity limitations in a number of states, but I think that as the document that we have today in front of us that's been launched flags, there's also a need, arguably, for a greater reflection of political will, for putting in place more sustainable and effective systems that actually puts to better use any kind of technical cooperation that states might be able to be receiving. And what we're seeing, I think, is that we are seeing more and more states show that political will and want to put into place a type of a system or a more comprehensive approach on engaging with the human rights mechanisms that's more systematic, because from their perspective, and I think that what they've seen from other states, they see it as being much more effective and sustainable, leading to greater impact of the work that's being done. So again, based on the states' practice themselves, and I think as the report flags also quite usefully, the setting up of standing national interinstitutional coordination mechanisms for reporting and follow-up is one key element of a possible comprehensive engagement with the human rights mechanisms that could be more durable, sustainable, and actually much more effective in actually following through on implementation. States themselves, again, have reported a number of global gains when they've established these types of mechanisms, including knowledge management at the national level, higher quality of reports, and increased efficiency in actually mainstreaming the follow-up into their respective line ministries for greater implementation. So my question that I'd pose is, can the Human Rights Council more systematically encourage the creation or the strengthening of such coordination mechanisms for greater impact on the ground, again, drawing from state-to-state practice? There are also important tools at the hands of such national follow-up structures to support their work more effectively, such as, for example, national human rights action plans, which draw on recommendations from all mechanisms to ensure a more effective and sustainable follow-up. There is no doubt that with the ever-growing number of recommendations, proper clustering of these recommendations and integration into some kind of action plan has been deemed extremely useful by the states themselves when they've tried to pursue effective implementation. And I think the report here refers to some kind of a need for a recommendation management, and that OHCHR could potentially play an important role in this context, in the clustering and managing the list of recommendations, possibly even as early as during the UPR working group session itself. The report also flags, and I wanted to raise it because I think it's an important point, about the need for a type of a one-stop shop on a place where one could easily access to get all of the recommendations from all of the human rights mechanisms. And in this context, they make reference to the need for easily searchable and updated human rights index. So I wanted to flag this because I think that it's a reflection of really how important it is to be able to access all of these recommendations. Once there's political will and once there's structures that are going to be put in place, you need to be able to access these recommendations to integrate them. And the Human Rights Index, we're seeking to actually update it in such a way that actually enables automatic transfers of all the recommendations from our international database into national databases. And we're getting actually a lot of requests for support, technical support, to actually help states develop these databases, which again were flagged in the report as an additional tool at the hands of states for more effective implementation and follow-up. Our sense is that there definitely is a growing appreciation that for real impact on the ground, there must be a comprehensive national engagement with all human rights mechanisms, engaging national follow-up structures and processes in a systematic way. And this, again, from states' practice themselves, the sense is that this would be an important way to ensure that there's greater impact and sustainability on the ground. So whether it's for the establishment or strengthening of national coordinating structures, or elaboration of human rights action plans, or the development of databases, technical cooperation within this broad framework of a comprehensive engagement, we feel could be the best way to approach and to seek impact on the ground. And then when that happens in such a systematic way, I think the UN as a whole could come together better to also support states in implementation, because if there's an action plan that follows through a database tracking, for example, the whole UN country team could reflect that national action plan in its UN country team programs, its UNDAFs. So it'll bring everyone together to support states for greater sustainability. I wanted to maybe just end by stressing that these ideas that I've drawn out of the report, they're not, my or OHCHR's ideas. These are really reflections of what states themselves have pursued and have assessed as being effective in trying to actually ensure that there's the greatest impact on the ground. So the questions that I would like to pose is, again, whether there might be scope in the Human Rights Council, not least leading up to the third cycle of the UPR, to more systematically be encouraging and supporting states to pursue such a comprehensive national engagement with human rights mechanisms, in particular the UPR. The greater dissemination and highlighting the value added from the states' perspectives on why such a systematic follow-up structure and system actually helps them. And in a way, I think that this way we can strengthen our collective hand in supporting states in carrying out more effective follow-up. And I think some ideas were already posed in the report on ways in which these practices could be shared, such as greater use of items 5, 6, and 10 in the Human Rights Council. OHCHR really stands ready to engage actively with states under the leadership of states on their assessment of what works best. Thank you.
Merci, Madame. J'accueille maintenant avec un plaisir non dissimulé notre ami l'ambassadeur Omar Hilal, qui est désormais à New York, comme vous le savez, mais qui a été un artisan et un acteur central pendant une bonne partie de la première décennie de la vie de notre Conseil des droits de l'homme et qui maintenant, en tant que président de la 3e commission à New York, se positionne comme vecteur d'une bonne coopération en bonne intelligence entre la 3e commission et le Conseil des droits de l'homme. L'ambassadeur Hilal va nous entretenir des relations entre le Conseil et le reste du système onusien. Je vous en prie.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, cher ami Alexandre Fraser. Je dirais, c'est avec un plaisir non dissimulé également que je prends la parole aujourd'hui devant cette audience qui m'impressionne. Je veux dire que vous avez de la chance ici à Genève et je vous en félicite. Parce que je constate dans cette salle une inclusivité et une diversité, ce dont nous ne jouissons pas à New York. Parce qu'à New York, nous travaillons selon une méthode malheureusement qui est très discriminatoire. Nous travaillons en format de groupe des amis. Il y a à peu près une quarantaine de groupes d'amis. Groupe d'amis des montagnes, groupe d'amis contre le terrorisme, groupe d'amis des droits de l'homme, groupe d'amis de non-prolifération, et c'est toujours fermé. Et c'est toujours réservé aux ambassadeurs. Et certains groupes, les experts, les ONG sont bannis de toutes les façons. Et là, je suis très heureux de retrouver beaucoup d'amis. Et je suis très, très satisfait de leur présence. Pour revenir à notre sujet, je voudrais tout d'abord dire mon réel plaisir de participer à ce panel de discussion sur le résultat du processus de Glion pour le renforcement de la pertinence, de l'efficacité et l'impact du Conseil des droits de l'homme à l'aube de ces 10 ans. Je voudrais féliciter la Norvège et la Suisse pour leur engagement continu et infaillible pour le renforcement du Conseil des droits de l'homme et l'amélioration de son action dans le processus de Glion est le parfait exemple, tant dans sa diversité que dans son inclusivité. Permettez-moi également de rendre un hommage particulier à l'Universal Rights Group, URG, pour l'expertise que ce think tank nous apporte et les rapports qu'il élabore, les statistiques que l'URG nous fournit sur différentes thématiques liées aux travaux du Conseil des droits de l'homme et de la 3e commission nous permettent d'avoir une vision à la fois globale et précise des tendances des deux organes et évaluer leur rendement plus rationnellement, pour ne pas dire plus scientifiquement. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, le rapport qui est publié aujourd'hui sur le processus de Glion est une véritable mine d'idées et de propositions, dont l'objectif est de donner un nouvel élan à l'action du Conseil des droits de l'homme, renforcer son impact sur le terrain et surtout enrichir la réflexion. Nous sommes tous d'accord que le Conseil des droits de l'homme a brillé en tant qu'organe normatif, disposant de mécanismes forts et novateurs pour la promotion et la protection des droits de l'homme. Cependant, et comme le souligne le rapport, la mise en œuvre effective des résultats du Conseil demeure un grand défi auquel ce jeune organe est confronté. Et je suis très heureux que mon vieil ami, l'ambassadeur Zamir Akram, ait abordé cet aspect très important de la mise en œuvre des recommandations, et des résultats et des décisions du Conseil des droits de l'homme, car sans mise en œuvre, il n'y aura pas d'évolution des droits de l'homme sur le terrain. Aussi, le bilan établi par le rapport sur cette question et l'analyse qui est faite sur les moyens de faire face à ces challenges me semblent très pertinents. Il reflète la richesse des discussions qui ont eu lieu tout au long du processus et partant la volonté de tous de perfectionner le travail du Conseil. Je ne compte pas m'attarder sur l'ensemble du rapport du processus de Glion. Je vais toutefois me focaliser sur un chapitre particulier de ce rapport qui est en relation avec la 3e commission de l'Assemblée générale que j'ai l'honneur de présider. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'objectif de la création du Conseil des droits de l'homme a été de renforcer le système onusien de promotion et de protection des droits de l'homme. En élevant le Conseil au rang d'organe subsidiaire de l'Assemblée générale, la communauté internationale a doté le système onusien du pouvoir nécessaire pour remplir pleinement le noble mandat de défense et de promotion des droits de l'homme. 5 ans après sa création, le Conseil des droits de l'homme a effectué une révision de son travail et de son fonctionnement. Pour sa part, l'Assemblée générale a procédé à un examen du statut du Conseil des droits de l'homme. Tout le monde s'accorde que la révision quinquennale du Conseil a offert une excellente opportunité pour dresser le bilan de ses réalisations, identifier les défis qui l'empêchent d'atteindre ses objectifs et trouver les moyens pour faire face à ces défis. Si le processus de révision peut être considéré comme un succès au niveau des améliorations apportées au mécanisme de l'examen périodique universel et aux méthodes de travail du Conseil, il n'en demeure pas moins que le résultat sur la question de la relation entre le Conseil et la 3e commission n'a pas répondu à toutes les attentes de ses membres et de la communauté internationale. Une des raisons pouvant expliquer cet échec est que chacun des 2 processus de révision, celui du Conseil des droits de l'homme à Genève et celui par l'Assemblée générale à New York, s'est focalisé davantage sur le mandat spécifique qui lui a été confié, notamment travail, fonctionnement pour le Conseil et statut pour l'Assemblée générale, que sur ce qui est le plus important, le lien ombilical entre le Conseil et la 3e commission. Les discussions qui auraient dû se pencher davantage sur la coordination entre ces 2 organes se sont limitées à la question de l'alignement du cycle du Conseil sur l'année civile et le traitement des implications budgétaires des résolutions du Conseil par la 3e commission dans un geste de célérité et de rapidité, ce qui demeure insuffisant comparativement aux attentes des membres du Conseil. Dans la présentation que j'ai faite hier devant la réunion de discussion que j'ai eue avec le Conseil des droits de l'homme, j'ai listé un certain nombre de problèmes liés au manque de coordination entre le Conseil et la 3e commission. Parmi ces difficultés, il y a, et là je cite 3 en particulier, celle d'ordre statutaire en relation avec l'interprétation des statuts et des mandats des 2 organes. Deuxièmement, celle relative aux duplications dans les travaux du Conseil et de la 3e commission. Et enfin, celle liée aux méthodes de travail de chaque organe. Je me réjouis de voir qu'il y a plusieurs points communs entre le constat que j'ai fait en tant que président de la 3e commission sur la coordination entre les 2 organes et l'analyse contenue dans le rapport du processus de Glion. Ceci démontre que Genève et New York ont pris conscience de l'impératif de développer cette coordination pour l'intérêt de tous. Dans ce contexte, je voudrais relever certaines idées contenues dans le rapport de Glion au sujet de cette coordination et qui versent, si heureusement, dans le même sens de la révision développée à New York. 1. Faire entendre la voix du Conseil des droits de l'homme à New York. C'est l'un des piliers de la coordination entre Genève et New York. La transmission d'un rapport annuel et sa présentation par le Conseil des droits de l'homme ne sont pas suffisants pour transmettre à New York les acquis, les besoins et les préoccupations de Genève. Le dialogue entre les 2 organes est la clé. Ainsi, l'instauration d'un canal de communication permanent entre le Conseil et la 3e commission est le moyen le plus efficace pour renforcer cette coordination. Dans le cadre de ce canal s'impose l'idée des briefings réguliers des deux présidents, à l'instar de celui organisé à New York en avril dernier et celui organisé hier à Genève. La proposition de créer des groupes de contact d'État à Genève et à New York peut également contribuer à réaliser cet objectif. 2. Se focaliser sur la complémentarité des deux organes plus que sur leurs différences. Les discussions sur le renforcement de la coordination entre le Conseil des droits de l'homme et la troisième commission ont tendance à se focaliser sur les questions divergentes, notamment celles relatives au mandat du Conseil des droits de l'homme, son statut vis-à-vis de la troisième commission, l'Assemblée générale, son budget, etc. J'estime que l'idée de positiver les discussions et de se pencher davantage sur la complémentarité entre les deux organes peut contribuer à réduire les écarts entre Genève et New York et par conséquent à atténuer les incompréhensions entre les deux enceintes multilatérales. C'est le développement de cette complémentarité qui permettrait de réduire les duplications des travaux et le chevauchement entre les deux organes. 3. Prendre conscience des capacités et des contraintes des deux organes. Que ce soit le Conseil des droits de l'homme ou la troisième commission, il est indispensable que les délégations prennent conscience des capacités et des contraintes des deux organes. La prolifération des résolutions, la création de nouveaux mandats de procédures spéciales, la multiplication des demandes de rapports au secrétaire général et au commissariat aux droits de l'homme, autant de points soulevés par l'ambassadeur Akram, et je m'en félicite, sont tous des facteurs qui épuisent les ressources des deux organes. Et j'ajouterais qu'ils fatiguent les ressources humaines également. Ce n'est pas seulement les ressources financières, mais les ressources humaines, car les staffs, tant du Conseil que l'Office du Haut-Commissaire, n'arrivent pas à suivre en termes de nombre, en termes également de responsables. L'instauration de synergie entre les deux organes est indispensable pour alléger le fardeau qui est devenu la charge de travail, particulièrement à Genève. 4. Doter le Conseil des droits de l'homme des moyens dont il a besoin pour remplir son mandat. Il s'agit d'une demande récurrente depuis pratiquement la création du Conseil des droits de l'homme, dont l'objectif est d'augmenter le budget onusien alloué aux droits de l'homme en général et au Conseil des droits de l'homme en particulier. L'objectif est que les activités mandatées par le Conseil soient absorbées par des budgets réguliers de l'ONU. Et là, je rejoins totalement mon frère l'ambassadeur Akram, car il en va de la crédibilité et également de l'indépendance, tant du Conseil que des procédures spéciales, que de l'Office du Haut-Commissaire. La discrimination qui est faite en ce qui concerne le financement des missions des détenteurs de mandats et des procédures spéciales est criarde et devrait être évitée, car nous assistons, nous n'avons cessé de critiquer ce phénomène depuis plusieurs années et surtout depuis le processus de révision il y a 3 années. Les droits de l'homme et surtout les mandats, la mise en œuvre des procédures spéciales et des détenteurs de mandats ne doivent subir aucune discrimination. Ils doivent être loin de toute politisation. Ils doivent être traités sur le même pied d'égalité si nous considérons que les droits de l'homme sont indivisibles et que les États, quelle que soit leur situation, sont égaux. Si on ne garantit pas cette indépendance, eh bien, ce sont les droits de l'homme qui seront pervertis et qui seront instrumentalisés. On ne peut continuer à réitérer que les droits de l'homme sont un des 3 piliers de l'ONU, alors qu'ils bénéficient, et là je me répète encore ce matin, avec mon collègue Akram, que de 3% du budget ordinaire. Il est temps que, aussi bien à Genève qu'à New York, on puisse réfléchir sur les moyens d'accorder à l'Office et également au Conseil les budgets appropriés pour qu'ils accomplissent leur mandat dans les meilleures conditions d'indépendance et d'effectivité. Mesdames et Messieurs, la prochaine révision du statut du Conseil des droits de l'homme est prévue dans 6 à 10 ans. Cependant, nous ne pouvons pas garder les bras croisés et attendre cette révision pour apporter des améliorations nécessaires à la culture du travail de cet organe. Nous pensons, c'est pourquoi le processus de Glion, Berlin ou autres sont des formes idoines pour réfléchir sur les moyens de renforcer le Conseil. Il n'est pas nécessaire d'apporter des changements substantiels aux méthodes de travail d'un organe pour améliorer son efficacité. Il suffit de s'accorder sur de bonnes pratiques et obtenir des engagements des uns et des autres pour améliorer la culture du travail. Et j'ajouterai l'élément qui a été présenté par l'ambassadeur Akram, la volonté politique. On peut avoir le meilleur des organes dans le monde, mais sans volonté politique, cet organe restera stérile et ne donnera aucun résultat. C'est exactement ce que je compte faire avec l'aide de mon bureau en ce qui concerne les méthodes de travail et les pratiques suivies par la 3e commission. Nous envisageons de nous inspirer des bonnes pratiques, notamment celles du Conseil des droits de l'homme, pour améliorer notre façon de faire les choses. J'espère que le dialogue que le président du Conseil des droits de l'homme et moi-même avions ouvert hier et la coordination que nous escomptons de mettre en place entre les deux organes contribueront également à nos efforts collectifs et respectifs pour améliorer nos travaux, tant à New York qu'à Genève. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Merci, Excellence, pour cette contribution. Et je me tourne maintenant vers l'ambassadeur Joachim Rücker, qui est bien sûr le président du Conseil des droits de l'homme et qui, dans cette qualité, a bien sûr une vision, une position tout à fait privilégiée pour porter un regard sur le travail du processus de Glion et sur les éléments dont nous parlons ici. Vous connaissez le symbolisme de l'œuvre d'art de Barcelone dans la salle 20, n'est-ce pas, le dôme, qui revêt une multitude de couleurs, mais vous n'êtes jamais en mesure de voir l'ensemble des couleurs. Vous ne voyez qu'une seule partie des couleurs du dôme quand vous êtes assis à votre place de délégué. Il y a eu un seul endroit dans la salle 20 où on voit l'ensemble des couleurs présentes dans l'œuvre d'art, c'est la table du président. Et je trouve que c'est un symbolisme assez fort qui montre que dans notre travail, on doit toujours être conscient qu'on n'a pas tous les éléments et qu'on n'est pas dans la tête de chacun des délégués. Et que c'est un effort constant que nous devons fournir que de développer une empathie pour essayer de comprendre d'où vient l'autre et qu'est-ce qui le pousse à dire ceci ou cela. Donc, depuis votre position privilégiée, Monsieur le Président, que faites-vous de tout ce que nous discutons ici, des réflexions que Glion ont produites, et comment cela est-il en relation avec les travaux que vous avez vous-même menés durant votre présidence?
Thank you very much also for the very inspiring introduction, and I hope that I can live up to these expectations of actually encompassing all the different colors. Certainly it is something that a president should always aspire to truly represent the Council and all its states. Thank you very much to the organizers for once again bringing us together on, as you have said, Alex, on this meta level, where we need to sit down and reflect from time to time in order not to be overwhelmed with our day-to-day tasks and texts and panels, etc. This is so useful, and I think it has already produced first results. Let me also make a personal remark on what Zamir Akram said on the current challenges with regard to the migration and refugee crisis. And because he's also said that that at least that's the way he sees it, we are not really balanced when it comes to political and civil rights on the one hand and to economic, social, and cultural rights on the other hand. I think this crisis is actually, that's my personal thinking, is once again a chance to refocus on a proper balance, because it is the one explanatory bracket over all the different flows of migrants which we see. Nobody who is safe and secure with regard to political reprisals, with regard to detention, with regard to torture, etc. But also nobody who is safe and secure with regard to working conditions, with regard to his social rights, his or her, with regard to participatory rights, would ever venture on such a dangerous a journey as all these refugees that are coming to Europe and to Asia are actually undertaking. So I think this is a chance for us to refocus on a really balanced approach, because all of them come because different individual human rights are violated. And that's something I think that can be actually good for the public discourse if we stress that. With regard to the challenges, operations, impact, relations with wider UN system, I think so many good things have been said already, and also I would really commend you for the report that is maybe not exhaustive, but has really a lot of relevant ideas. I would actually venture to say that some of the things we have already either embarked upon implementation or we have already implemented. And that, I think, is also something we should reflect. We are already progressing when it comes to making this council more relevant, more efficient, more effective. And of course, at the basis of this is Resolution 5.1, our institution building package, and also Resolution 1621 from 2011. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank Ambassador Omailal, who has played a key role in 1621 and in the generation of that. I also think that the subjects we discussed this morning here at the panel and that are reflected in the report are totally intertwined and compatible with my broad priorities on the institutional/organizational level, which I have identified for this year, and of course which will be important beyond, namely improving New York-Geneva relations, increasing and improving our efficiency, and improving our effectiveness. And I think that is really what it's all about. With regard to the New York-Geneva relations, I think Ambassador Hilal has said all that can be stated at this point. I think we have, and of course there's also the relevant paragraphs in the report. I think we have made some progress in the sense of bringing Geneva issues to the attention of the New York community, not only by regular visits, but also by stressing our Geneva perspective in New York, and by stressing the importance of actually overcoming this problem of the underfinancing of the human rights pillar in general, not only HRC. HRC, as you know, has been served relatively well by the Fifth Committee with actually funding the mandated activities, but we have larger problems when it comes to the Office of the High Commissioner, when it comes to underfunded old mandates of the special procedures, and all these need to be addressed. Of course, at the core of many things we discuss with New York and in New York is the institutional issue, and I would like to summarize it as follows. Legally, yes, we are a subsidiary of the GA. However, politically, we have somewhat outgrown this role. We are something like a de facto primary organ. And how to deal with this political role is something we need to discuss here in the Council, and that may be also of importance as we go further to 2021 to the next review. Everything else has been said. I don't want to repeat it, especially with regard to how we intertwine better our work in New York Third Committee and here. When it comes to the other subject of the operations, I think with regard to the special focus on efficiency, which is, of course, only one aspect of the operations, but an important one. I think we have made some progress. I would like to thank all the delegations for their support to our presidential statement in June, where we identified a couple of things when it comes to being more efficient, which obviously is ultimately in the aim of being more effective, because there is no thing like being efficient for efficiency's sake. And you might recall that the initial draft text for that PRSD was about initiating maybe a process where we would not only see more clearly the relevant initiatives, resolutions, panels, special procedures, and New York activities when it comes to a certain theme or thematic issue, but where we would also maybe engage in a process how to maybe, as it was suggested with regard to special procedures, merge, cluster, or somehow in other ways rationalize that. That was not possible politically, and now what we have embarked upon is creating a voluntary calendar that is improved and has some additional information, so that on the basis of that additional information we can come to a better holistic assessment of maybe here and there redundancies or ways to improve our work. The second element you're very well aware of is that we try to we will make a proposal to the Council to that effect, evening out the consultative group's calendar, and other proposals that we are mandated now after the presidential statement would include things like making the extranet of the Council more user-friendly, accessible, and visible, something that also has played a role here in the Glion context. Also, I recall that we, in that presidential statement, focus also on improving our working methods in the more narrow sense, and that would include sharing texts much earlier and being even more inclusive and more relevant in that sense. And I would like to recall the famous Ambassador Akram principles that he actually stated in Berlin on all these processes. They need to be voluntary, they need to be balanced, and they need to be impartial. And I took good note of the 8 additional things you pointed out here in order to make that more visible to us what you actually mean. That was with regard to efficiency. With regard to impact, I think we have heard very, very valuable things, and I think with a particular focus on the upcoming third cycle of the UPR, we have to be very mindful of drawing or having a lessons learned process and talk more about impact of the UPR, but of course, as Shahzad has said, and others, also about the impact of our resolutions, etc. That is not an exercise for a president, that is an exercise for the Council, for the member states, but it is an important discussion, and I would be happy to contribute to it, and maybe we would find also fora where we could do that in the upcoming months. I think the proposals that have been made were quite relevant. Probably they can be summarized by what Shahzad said on how can the HRC more systematically encourage states to better implement not only the hard law in human rights, but also the soft law in human rights and the UPR recommendations. And when you look at what's happening with the recommendations, the inflation in the recommendations, that some states get 350 recommendations, you know immediately that I think we have to do something about that before the third cycle. But again, that's not for a president to say, that is for member states to say, but I'm happy to contribute. Right, so maybe I leave it at that, if you allow, and we go into the discussion.
Très volontiers. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et merci à tous les panélistes pour leur contribution. Et j'ouvre maintenant la discussion. avec l'audience.